Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. I'm Cheryl Lindsay with a plan with me. This is a functional planner video where I will show you how I set up my monthly spread, my project management spread, and my weekly spread. So I hope you will join me for this setup, which I will do for you. My monthly spread, and I'm just putting some of my supplies to the side as I begin to work this through. My monthly spread is fairly simple. I just look at the highlights for the month in setting that up, and I do make it a little bit pretty. I'm using some simply gilded stickers and washi, which I will do throughout this plan so that my October looks cohesive on the monthly spread and my monthly project management spread. I have videos on my channel about how I set up my Kanban board, which is my project management board. I use that instead of setting, top goals and things like that. I actually find that I'm more project driven, and so I evaluate the projects that I'm working on and see how they align with my goals on a monthly basis, and I update where I stand on a monthly basis. Certain things for me work best monthly versus daily or weekly, and so this is a Hobonichi cousin, which as a planner has a monthly, weekly, and daily pages. I use the daily section primarily as a notebook, catch-all notebook, or even you might even consider it a commonplace notebook, because I just put things in there, notes, sometimes quotes. I have a separate book that I use for memory keeping and things of that nature, but occasionally I'll even will include some things that I really want to highlight there as well. Right now I'm just putting date stickers on top of the dates in the monthly spread, so that really it's not this is not functional. This is making it pretty and using the stuff that I have, because this comes in my subscription box, so I use it, and it helps make the whole thing look cohesive. But this is certainly, in terms of functional planning, optional, and I do not do this every month. It really depends on how much time I'm putting into setting up. For me, though, there is something very peaceful and calming about and energizing in a creative sort of way about doing these types of things. But again, if I am pressed for time, none of this happens. In terms of how my calendar works, my primary calendar is actually on my phone. I have a particular email address where most of my stuff goes, but I also have, because I can put things in there that are reoccurring, but I have other, and these are primarily Gmail accounts. One is an iCloud account, but they all show up on my phone. So if I want to know what's going on and if I'm available, I pick up my phone, because that gives me the most accurate picture. But what I will do on the monthly spread is I will put those things that I want to highlight, because I do look at this spread every week when I do my weekly planning to note the big picture type of things. So if I'm attending a conference, or if I have a big meeting coming up, or something of that nature, those things get highlighted here. This is also a place in what is primarily a planner that I use professionally, where I also keep personal things like birthdays, anniversaries. I'll also note them on these pages as well. This does not take a long time for me to set up. In addition to those date type of things, I also keep a list of what I am reading. And when I say that, I mean, I don't mean every single thing that I'm reading. I don't put, things I'm reading strictly for fun. Um, I don't, this is not a place where I list every trashy novel that I might read in the course of the month. But if I read, I like to also read books on various subject matters. So right now I'm reading a book on um, good economies, because that's something of interest to me. I tend to read something that is historical in nature every month. Right now, I'm just thinking of which washi that I want to use. I love this. This is probably my favorite washi right now, but I'm not sure if that's what I want to use yet. But I note those things that, yeah, I think I will. That I am reading of that nature, political books, um, biographies, um, development type of books. If I'm reading something for research purposes, or if I'm reading something that I'm using in a book study, or if I'm participating in a book study, those are things that I would list in that section. So I try to get about 4 or 5 books like that in a month, averaging one a week. Uh, but that's an average, so some weeks are um, more than others. I might read 2 in a week, or I might read 1 throughout the entire month. I'll read different books. I might read more than 1 book at a time. So right now, I don't really use this bottom portion, so I use this washi to cover it up. And depending on how the washi responds, I either use a scissors or this ruler to cut it down. I'm not going to go crazy with it. I just really want to give. So look, let me just show you. This is last month. Very simple. And because I'm not traveling, because there aren't conferences where I'm traveling, there aren't a whole lot of things going on here. So my months look a little more barren than they normally would. In this subscription box I get from Simply Gilded, you get multiple things, and I love these seals. But I'm trying not to hoard them, but I really do love them. So I think I'm going to put one just right there as a decorative element. I'm going to leave a fair amount of open white space on this, so I'm not looking to fill up every single thing. And again, this is not a place where I come to plan. This is more reference. Um, Again, big days, things that I'm attending and doing, and I will actually fill this in at the end after I'm done doing the general setup. So this is pretty much all that I need. Trying to think, do I want to write in the day, or do I want to get stickers? If I had, this is like a coppery color. It's so beautiful. I'm gonna write in the month. So let's see how I can do this and keep it on frame. I wonder, do I have something that I can put it on? Not really. So I'm going to write it in using a brush marker. Just turn this. Do I want it here? I think so. I've never taken like a writing course or done anything, but I use these brush markers and they do the work for you. So, and I think that is going to be just sufficient for me. All right, that's the monthly. Um, I'm going to go now into my monthly Kanban board, which in the Hobonichi weeks, in these daily pages, before the first day of the month, you get a blank monthly page. And when I say blank, it's absolutely blank. Let me show you. This is September's Kanban board. This, flipping through, you can see some of my notes pages. I want to show you also August Kanban board. So I have 4 quadrants that I use in mine. Most Kanban boards that I have seen, and probably because of the original, have 3. Ready, doing, and done. So you are tracking the progress of your projects. I have the inbox because what I really want to do is to make sure that I'm keeping track of where do I stand. Not only in terms of where does a particular project where does it stand, but when did it enter into this space. So my inbox reflects what is new, what was new this month, what came in this month. Ready may be things that are routine, projects that I have to do every month, or it may include things that I have migrated from the previous month that again are ready to work on, but I haven't started. Doing are things that move from inbox to ready. Once I start working on them, they move into the doing, or they get migrated if it carries over from one month to another. And then done are obviously things that I've completed. One of the, for me, realities of doing this is I recognized that I need to do this on a monthly basis. I tried when I first started using a Kanban board. I was first introduced. You gotta take off that little piece of plastic there, protect it. When I was first introduced to the Kanban board concept, I tried just doing a master one in a planner, but I never went back to it. I would not go back to it, and it wasn't that it wasn't important to me, but it was just there, and there was nothing to trigger me to go back and see, well, how am I doing with this? Whereas having it on a monthly basis in this section that I go to all the time, because I go to this section when I am note taking, so I go to this section virtually every day. This little piece of washi in the middle is purely decorative, in case you're wondering. There's a purpose. No, it's just decorative. Simply decorative. And for me, there is something really helpful about being able to go to a page that going to the page is a pleasant experience. And so while I do not overly decorate this, I only put a little bit of washi on it to define the space. Visually, it helps because I'm keeping it in. You noticed there's a certain pattern here that I keep it in, and that pattern enables me to, once I see it, know immediately that. And I think I'm gonna put something, but I'm gonna put it on top. Lets me immediately come to this spot and just visually know, okay, this is my Kanban board page as soon as I see it, because it has that same format to it. And I personally find that helpful. So I'm only going to add a little bit more washi to it, and then I will label it. and I'll fill it in. So I'm walking you through the process as I'm doing this decorative stuff, and I want to also, I don't, this planner, if you're not familiar with the Hobonichi Cousin, is a Japanese planner. The Japanese writing does not bother me, but it does give me an excuse to put washi on portions of it. I'll cover up this writing. But it honestly doesn't bother me. I actually find there's something beautiful in that, in their alphabet, that it does not bother me on there. Okay, so that is the basic decorative piece. Now I'm going to again label them. And I will be using basically the same color scheme throughout. One of the things that I do that you may have noticed on the ones that I gave you a little preview of is that I will highlight. I don't cross them out when I move them from one quadrant to another. I highlight them, and I tend to use a Tombow marker to do that. I do find that works fine in the Hobonichi. You know, when things are dry, they don't tend to smudge. My September smudged quite a bit, but I think that was because of the pen that I was using. I'm using this month this pen that came with a simply gilded box that matches this washi tape so beautifully, so I'm going to be using this. I really do like their pens a lot. They're gel pens. They write very smoothly. The feel of them in my hand, and so I tend to use that. They work well on this Tome River paper, but I also have some Uniball Signo in 0.38 because these boxes are thin, and so I also have a couple in thin colors in black. This is black. I have a black Signo, Uniball Signo, and I have one in my sort of my color that I'm featuring them in the given month, which is sort of a reddish burgundy type of vibe. So when I first set this up, the inbox is empty because new things are coming in, get recorded there through the course of the month. The done is empty because those are things that get completed. It's really the ready and the doing. So in order to do that, I have to go back to my September Kanban board, and let's start with the ready. That actually is something I should highlight and put into doing. I'm actually, because some of these things are not things that I want to necessarily share on the internet, but I'll put some things. So for instance, there's this broadcasting streaming software that I do need to test, and I really need to test it. I have carried that over. It was in the ready last month, but I really need to do it, so I'm going to keep that there. There are certain things that that I do every month. So for instance, I do a weekly wisdom, which is a video series on YouTube that I do. It tends to, my goal is for it to come out on Wednesdays of each week. I do that every month, so that goes in ready for the month because I'm tracking these projects month to month. So even though it's something that's reoccurring, like I could say I'm always doing this because it's recurring. I'm always in some stage of doing this, but I like the satisfaction of saying, okay, I need to do October versus I'm working on October. I'm done with October. So I'll go back in my September doing done and fill that out and say I'm done with the September version of that. And so that is how that goes. I'm not going to go through and do this whole thing because this takes a significant amount of time for me to think these things through. But I do want to show you an aspect of this that is part of my overall system that I find really helpful. I was glad that I added it, and actually forget that this comes right to it. It's my capture spread, and it's a someday maybe on the right hand side. So projects that I'm not working on, and I don't anticipate that I will start in a given month. I have no idea when they will start. Go in the someday maybe column. On the radar are things that I'm looking for space to do, but I know I don't have space to do. So one of the things I want to research is doing some voiceovers. I have not had time to do that, but it's important to me, so I've captured it in this space, and because it's on the radar, that means um, I'm looking for space to do that. This is 2021, so there's a place for next year for things that you get an idea this year, and it's not for this year, and you know that when you get it. Well, I put it there. This just happens to have a clear page or a sticky note for a possible word of the year for 2021. Because I didn't have this book when I got the idea, but I did have a sticky note, and so I wrote it down and transferred it. This capture page is, again, a place to just, if I don't have any other place to put it, but it's something that that could be related to a project that I'm not working on, that I may or may not work on, but I want to be able to capture. And this idea is that it's more than an idea. These are each independent ideas, whereas this is more, if I had one of these ideas and started in my mind to flesh them out, didn't want to start really working on it, but I had some significant thoughts about it. Here's a place for me to capture those thoughts. So I say that to say that when I'm evaluating migrating to the current Kanban board, one of the things that I will do is say that if something has been in the ready portion for a while, or has been in doing, but I haven't really been actively working on it, does it need to stay on the current board, or do I need to put it on that someday maybe on the radar in particular? A lot of times things will go back and forth there. And not a lot, but occasionally, like that voiceover research, what was an inbox item that became a ready and stayed a ready for a couple of months, and I realized I don't have time to. I'm doing too much to think about even researching that right now. So that's how that works. So I'll do that later. I'll continue to put the information on here, and then as part of my weekly process and looking at what are my prioritized actions for the week, I come back to this page. Then that takes me to my weekly spread, and this is the current week as I'm filming this. And we go ahead and remove that and go to next week. Blank slate is just timed. You have 24 hours from 5 a.m. until 4 a.m. That you can do whatever you would like with. And I use these, the washi tape that I'm using, I think I'll use this one again, to give myself space that I can categorize and segment things out. So I don't feel the need to have anything timed here beyond 9 p.m. So at that point, that's where I put the washi down. Okay. All right. And with this paper, it is very thin. It will tear on you, so sometimes, let me get my scissors out to make sure that it doesn't. I also don't have anything before, and I think I'm going to use this thinner set of bows up top, and let's see, sometimes I'll do, maybe I'll do that. Let's see, what do I have I haven't used? Those bows. I don't want to do 2 bows. So let me go back to my favorite, my current favorite washi. So I do this across the days. If I have something special on a given day that I really want to highlight so that my eye is drawn to it immediately. That's what this top section is for. I leave that blank. So if there's a birthday or a holiday, that would go there. If there's something that I absolutely have to work on or get done in a given day, that too I would have uh, go there as well. So that is sort of a place for the highlight of the day. There are many weeks where there's nothing that goes on there, but for instance, here I had a training that day that I was not only attending as a participant. I actually did had a responsibility for a portion of it, the presidential debate, the things that I want to make sure that grab my attention for a particular day. But there are many weeks where that section stays completely blank, and that's fine. I like a lot of white space in my weekly layout in particular, in my planner in general. So in the monthly, see that I don't fill that up with every appointment because I don't want too much going on. The same thing certainly is true of my weekly in particular. One of the things I do, and this is not the best color, but it's the closest thing I have to working with this spread that is not overpowering, fairly neutral. But I like having white space because when I come to this page and look at it, I like being able to see that I have space that space to work on things, because a lot of my work is working on various projects, combination of meetings and projects, and so I like to have space where I can basically have that divvied up. And I need to decide how I'm doing this. This looks like it might be. This is from Cloth and Paper. I actually kind of like that. Monday is my off day, for my Sabbath day, and so having something on Monday that I don't have to worry about covering up part of Monday, basically is what I'm saying. This sidebar I use for what I call prioritized actions. These are the things that come from that Kanban board that I need to get done. A lot of what I'm doing down here are things that are routine that may or may not move projects forward, but these are things that move forward those projects. And I will glue that down so that it's secure. But right now I think I like the way that looks. I'm creating some sections here for these things that are more routine, and I actually think I'm going to use, I don't want to overuse, like I use that, but I use different washi. I don't want to overuse this reddish color in this particular spread. So I have certain sections that get space here. And these are the same sections every week. So that I can just look in these sections and know what I need to do when I have time. To work in a certain sort of mode, I can go into the section and say, okay, what do I need? What do I need to do in that section? So let me talk a little bit about. I talked about the prioritized action that goes back to that Kanban board. Sunday prep. I'm a pastor. If you are just tuning into this, channel and you don't know anything about me, I am a pastor. And so Sunday prep is a good portion of my week. That's why I give myself all this space to write down those things that I need to do, from worship preparation and crafting to sermon research and writing, working on children's messages, all of those, the broadcast aspect of it, because I pastor a medium size, the most people call small, but it's really a medium sized congregation. And so I'm broadcasting actually out of my home now. And so I am my own crew also. So those things go into that section. I have other projects that I do on a consultant basis. I'm a half-time pastor, and the other half of my professional life falls under this category in one form or another. And so things that are very specific, for instance, my things with YouTube or podcasting fall under that. If I'm doing some worship consulting with a congregation or any sort of consulting with a congregation, those things fall under that. So because those are consulting relationships, I'm not going to fill that out here either. But that gives you an idea of what that looks like. And then here my categories are basically connections I need to make, calls or emails, and this is not returning a call or replying to a call, but these are things that I need to initiate, more so than just returning a call that I received in a given day, that kind of thing. Admin, any sort of administrative tasks to focus on. What I'm reading, even though I have that monthly log, overall I do note what I'm reading in that week, and that's part of my miracle morning routine. So having that in front of me is helpful and reinforces that habit. What I need to write, my sermon I keep over here, but I write a weekly pastor's note, and occasionally there are other writing things that I need to do. If I need to write a report for a board or committee that I serve on, those kinds of things. Same thing here in terms of social media. I do a lot of social media, to the extent I actually have a separate social media planner, but there are a couple of big things each week that I include here. Weekly wisdom would fall under this. This video that I'm doing would fall under this. The details of it, though, aren't in this planner. They're in my planner that's for social media, which gives more details. So I have satellite planners that accompany this, which I call my hub planner, and you can see how everything I think works together. In this section I'll put timed appointments, so I don't put task or to-do list. I have my actions here, I have actions here, and I have time commitments here. And by being able to lay out my time commitments, I can see where I have big chunks of time where I can work on these things or these things, and that's how it works. I'm going to actually write these things in. This video is over the half-hour mark, so I'm not going to even speed up write them. What I'm going to do is I will fill them in, and then I will take pictures so that you can see what the final product looks like. I thank you for spending some time with me on this video, and I pray that something was helpful. So if there's anything, a tip or a trick or practice that I mentioned that you might want to try, leave a comment below and let me know. Or if there's something that you want to offer or suggest to me or anyone else watching the video of, hey, you might want to try this, I would love, I'm always on the lookout for things that I might be able to incorporate to add another level of productivity and fruitfulness to this system. Thank you so much again for spending some time with me, and until the next time, remember to love God, love your neighbor, love yourself. Bye-bye. Take care.